We got some exciting news today about the NFL's salary cap increase. And for the Las Vegas Raiders, this is a huge win. Also, there's a buzz on Twitter about Pete Carroll possibly being at UNLV, watching quarterbacks Shedder Sanders and Cam Ward throw the football. We'll get into that in a bit. But first, let's talk about the salary cap and what it means for the Raiders. Every year, the NFL salary cap rises, but this year, the increase is bigger than usual. Last year saw a significant jump, and now, for the second year in a row, teams are seeing another major boost. The NFL informed teams that the 2025 salary cap will be between $277.5 million and $281 million. While some early predictions had already estimated this increase, we now have a clearer idea of the actual numbers. For the Raiders, this means they will have around $95 million in cap space, which is the second highest OS in the league. This gives them a lot of financial flexibility, but they also have several key free agents to consider. There are multiple starters hitting free agency, and the team will need to make tough decisions about who to keep and who to let go. Take Trayvon Moehrig, for example. He's set to earn $20 million. But if new general manager John Spytek doesn't think he's worth that price, the Raiders could let him walk with no financial penalty. They would likely receive a fourth-round compensatory pick in return next year. The same goes for other players like Malcolm Kuntz, Robert Spillane, and John Jenkins. The team can decide whether these players fit their long-term plans or if they'd rather invest that cap space elsewhere. One thing is clear. With $95 million to work with, the Raiders have plenty of options, okay? Whether they choose to re-sign key players, bring in big-name free agents, or make bold trades, this offseason will be crucial in shaping the future of the team. I think Gardner Minshew is a solid football player, but the Raiders now have to make an important decision about his future. With a clear salary cap number, the team can start negotiating with free agents and planning their roster moves. According to Tashin Reed of The Athletic, there's a strong chance that the Raiders will release Gardner Minshew. The report suggests the team is unlikely to bring him back. This will be a key decision for general manager John Spytek, especially since Minshew struggled with the Raiders last season. There's no way around it. He simply didn't play well. But to be fair, none of the Raiders' quarterbacks performed well, and the overall quarterback situation is concerning heading into next season. If the Raiders decide to release Minshew, they will take on some dead cap money, but they'll also free up some space. If they cut him immediately, they'll save about $1.5 million. However, if they wait until after June 1st, they can spread the cap hit over 2 years and save about $5 million this season. This type of move helps teams manage their finances by splitting the financial impact instead of taking the full hit in 1 year. One big question the Raiders must answer is, was Minshew's poor performance due to the team's struggles, or is he just not the right fit? If they believe he still has potential, head coach Pete Carroll might see him as a valuable backup quarterback, a solid insurance option in case the team doesn't land a better starter. After all, Minshew played well under Shane Steichen the year before joining the Raiders, almost leading his team to the playoffs. His performance in that system was good enough to be considered Pro Bowl caliber. So, was last season just a result of playing in a bad offensive system? If so, maybe a fresh start under new offensive coordinator Chip Kelly could help Minshew improve. The Raiders have some big choices ahead, and whatever they decide about Minshew will be a major piece of their offseason strategy. The decision to move on from Gardner Minshew is an interesting one, and based on reports, it seems likely the Raiders will release him. However, it's important to consider the context of his performance. Minshew played much better under Shane Steichen before joining the Raiders. Last season, he was coached by Luke Getsy, who was widely criticized as one of the worst play callers in the league. This isn't the first time we've seen a quarterback struggle under a bad system. Jimmy Garoppolo looked solid under Kyle Shanahan, even making a Super Bowl, but then played his worst football under Josh McDaniels. Similarly, Jared Goff has a 0-17 record arcs in games where he wasn't coached by Sean McVay or Ben Johnson. The lesson here? Coaching matters. Play callers and coordinators can make or break a quarterback. That said, I wouldn't be too upset if the Raiders move on from Minshew. At this point, they've already paid him, and cutting him wouldn't save a ton of money. So the question becomes, Is it better to keep him as a backup or just start fresh? Now, let's shift to another trending topic on social media. A post from Remy Legon on Twitter claims that Cam Ward and Shedder Sanders are training at UNLV and that Pete Carroll was seen watching them. A viral video even shows someone, presumably Cam Ward, saying, "Look over there, that's Pete Carroll watching." But is this true? Honestly, it seems more like a rumor than a verified report. There's no real evidence that Carroll was there, but the story is still making waves online. Regardless, the fact that Shedder Sanders and Cam Ward are training together in Las Vegas is worth noting. Both quarterbacks are putting in the work, improving their game, and preparing for the next step in their careers. Whether Pete Carroll was actually there or not, these young QBs are showing dedication and commitment to getting better. It looks like Shedder Sanders and Cam Ward were having some fun during training, exchanging some playful trash talk. In a viral clip, you can hear them going back and forth, debating who has the better arm and taking shots at each other's playing style. Some fans have even analyzed the footage, arguing that one quarterback's throws look sharper than the others. At the end of the day, the Raiders need a quarterback. And if John Spytek believes that Shedder Sanders or Cam Ward is worth the sixth overall pick, I'd be on board with that decision. That said, I'm personally not sold on Sanders just yet. In fact, the only quarterback I'm really high on in this class is Cam Ward Arcus. However, there are plenty of wild card quarterbacks in this draft. Quinn Ewers has officially declared, and NFL.com ranks him as the fourth best QB prospect. Then you have guys like Jalen Milroe, who many scouts are intrigued by, Will Howard and Chase, who worked with Chip Kelly last season, and Kyle McCord, who played for Ohio State before transferring to Syracuse. It'll be interesting to see if the Raiders decide to draft a quarterback this year. If they don't go for one at pick number 6 stars, there's still a chance they target one in the second or third round. But at this point, it's also possible that John Spytek and Pete Carroll decide to roll with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew for another season. While that may not be the most exciting option for fans, it wouldn't be shocking if that's the direction they take. John Spytek seems to be taking a long-term approach to building this Raiders team. It's not just about finding a quarterback, but also about creating a strong foundation that can support one. Looking ahead, next year's quarterback class is expected to be much stronger, with at least 4 first-round caliber quarterbacks. This year's group, while solid, doesn't offer the same depth of talent, regardless of how the Raiders approach the quarterback situation. The team seems to be in good hands. To win Super Bowls, you need a strong head coach, a smart general manager, high-level coordinators. The Raiders now have all 3. Spytek was widely regarded as one of the best GM candidate squad available, and the fact that the Raiders landed him is a big deal. Over the next few weeks, we'll start seeing the kind of moves he wants to make. One of his first signings was wide receiver Kyle Phillips, who previously played under Chip Kelly at UCLA. Phillips had success in that system, so it makes sense for the Raiders to take a chance on him. The question is, will he just be a practice squad guy, or can he earn a spot on the roster? Right now, the Raiders' wide receiver group is deep, but they lack a true X receiver, someone who can dominate in the red zone, demand double teams, pull safeties away with his vertical ability, with Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer at tight end and Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. At wide receiver, targets are already limited. It'll be interesting to see how Kyle Phillips fits into the mix. Could the Raiders go all in this year? Beyond the draft, some major names are expected to hit the market in the coming weeks. One of those names? Joey Bosa. While there's no guarantee that Bosa will be released, he's a prime example of the type of player the Raiders could target if they decide to go all in this season. Would it make sense for the Raiders to aggressively pursue veteran talent? If Spytek and Pete Carroll believe they can win now at adding proven stars, and even those on the back end of their careers could be a real option. As free agency and the draft unfold, we'll get a clearer picture of what direction this team is heading in. When Joey Bosa hits the free agent market, he'll likely command around $4 to $5 million more per year than what Malcolm Kunci would earn. So the question is Joey Bosa an upgrade over Kunci? At this point, yes, Bosa is still the better player. However, could Kunci surpass him in 2 years? Possibly, especially considering Bosa appears to be on the decline. But even as he slows down, Bosa is still a high-impact defender. Thus, the Raiders have to decide on their overall strategy when moving forward. Do they prioritize short-term success or long-term stability? There are other high-profile veterans potentially hitting the market, including Khalil Mack, potential cap casualty, Trent Williams, rumored trade candidate, Zach Martin, veteran presence on the O-line. If the Raiders want to go all in, targeting one or more of these players could make sense. Everything starts with the quarterback decision. Once that piece falls into place, we'll have a clearer idea of the team's direction. If the Raiders draft a rookie quarterback, e.g. Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, or Cam Ward at number 6, they're thinking long-term. They'll likely be more conservative. With roster moves, the focus will be on developing talent, rather than making an all-in push. If the Raiders pursue a veteran QB, e.g. Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers, they're in win-now mode. They'll likely aggressively add veteran talent. The goal will be competing for a Super Bowl immediately. Pete Carroll's timeline matters. Let's not forget. Pete Carroll is in his 70s, and he signed a 4-year contract. But realistically, he may only coach for 3 or 4 more seasons. Or, if he wants that one more Super Bowl, he might push for an aggressive roster-building strategy. Recent history shows that teams who go all in can win big. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. Denver, Peyton Manning. LA Rams, Matthew Stafford. If the Raiders decide to follow that blueprint, expect them to pursue big names over the next few weeks. The offseason is when teams truly improve. Once week 1 arrives, your roster is set. There's little room for drastic changes, but right now, everything is on the table. Trades, free agent signings, draft decisions. We'll soon start hearing reports about which QBs the Raiders are considering, who's visiting the team, and what kind of moves they're planning. This is where championship teams are built. Stay tuned, because the Raiders' future is about to take shape. The offseason isn't just a break. It's when teams truly level up. I want to share a quick story before wrapping this up. While at the Hula Bowl, I was helping with player testing and had the chance to talk with some NFL scouts. One of them was former Raiders wide receiver Rod Streeter, who is now a scout for the Eagles. However, another scout from a different team told me something that really stuck. Fans call it the offseason, but for teams, this is the team-building season. That really put things into perspective. Of course, we all know teams improve through free agency and the draft, but there's so much more that goes into building a championship roster. Roster cuts, some veterans will be released undrafted free agents. Young talent will be added mini-camps and OTAs. Early team chemistry begins. As we move through the next few months, I'm really excited to see the direction the Raiders take. More importantly, this will be our first look at how new GM John Spytek handles the draft. A general manager's success is often judged by their first draft class. If Spytek delivers, we'll know right away that the Raiders are in good hands. This is the most important time of the year for the Raiders. The moves made now will shape the team for years to come. So, what do you think? Should the Raiders go all in on veterans or build for the future? Which quarterback should they target? What's your boldest prediction for the offseason? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.